Hello. So for Mermaid, I'm taking a look at Mermaid Adventures. And there's a selection of images in here. Why don't we go with this one? I like this one. Alright, so the way this works is that each of these little squares has watercolor paint on it. I mean, it's just like paint in a little tin or something else, and when you make it wet, it will come out and let you paint with it, and then when it dries, it's in its new place. And I mean, that's the way watercolors work, so you could put it anywhere you want to. And right now I'm having to paint around my cat, which is a little challenging, but that is okay. The cat will decide to move. Because I'm painting around my cat, I'm going to start with the outside. Normally I start with the detail things, but I can't really get close enough right now to get to the little details of all these little bits. So I figure while the cat is here being in the way, I will do some of the larger swaths of blue color, and then hopefully the cat will get bored at some point and move on to another location, and then I'll be able to lean forward a little and work more closely. This is, oh wait, no, don't roll over that way, sweetie. On the other hand, the cat could just roll right on top of everything and make it even harder. You're a good kitty. Everything is always a challenge with a cat. Cats like to keep us on our toes. Right, sweetie? Eventually I may eject the cat. Encourage the cat to move along to another location. The cat usually has a limited attention span, so if I'm lucky, I'll get through all this blue stuff of the background water, and the cat will move on to somewhere else. Maybe the top of a tower. Wouldn't that be a lovely little kitty? Wouldn't it be nice to be up on top of a tower? Usually you and your brother have to fight for who's on top of the tower. But if I went over there now, I bet we would see that it is all for you. Sweetie? Oh, kitty. Oh, see, look, now he's, or she, now she is laying on my arm. Which means I have even less of a range of motion than I did before when the cat was, God, when the cat was only laying in between me and the painting. Alright, sweetie, I can't be your pillow and paint because I can only get to a certain number of things while I am your kitty pillow. Of course, I just put my arm right back down into the kitty pillow location because she is so cute and fuzzy. But sweetie, I have to get this blue layer done and then give it a chance to dry, because otherwise if I try to paint a nearby neighbor to the blue, well, no. Oh, sweetie! Well, the blue is, oh, really? I'm trying to do this. No! Trying to do this so that I can do it as a time lapse. But if the cat's kicking it out of position, then the time lapse is going to be wiggling all over the place. Sweetie, that's you. That's you that I'm talking to. Alright, let's see if this works. trying to keep this reasonably in the same spot. Oh, sweetie. This is the adventure. You know, and part of the other challenge is that I have shaky hands to begin with, so even painting something this small is a little tricky for me. Never mind trying to paint around the cat. So normally I would be rotating the paper around into different orientations so that it's easier for my hands to get into the proper alignment. But again, because I want to be able to do this as a time lapse and keeping everything in the exact same alignment, which then means it's a little trickier for me to get into all the nooks and crannies. So I'm going to miss some of the lines, and that's okay. Part of this process is just to have fun. Enjoy it despite the helpful assistance of the kitty. This particular design has a lot of little tidbits, all these little hearts and beads and other things. So, sweetie, no, I can't have you, like, the cat's over here about to knock everything over. Alright. I think we got the cat into a reasonable spot where where the cat is happy, but now leaning in the bottom part of the painting. Alright, we'll get that as the best we're going to get the cat to behave for now. Right, sweetie? Yes, you are a good kitty. I love these little hanging details at the top area. Good kitty. I've got the Under the Sea song stuck in my head. At least it's a pretty happy song. Out of all the things that could be stuck in my head, that's not too bad. So it'd be a little easier if I was not having to paint around the cat body all the time. But you know, cat likes to add a little extra bit of challenge to life. Given how Zuzu and Felix have taken to chasing each other around the house all night long. This is pretty calm behavior, which is nice. Well, maybe they chase each other around the house all night because they did not have us to hang out with while we paint. So maybe I just need to stay up all night long painting, and maybe that would be the distraction the kitties are looking for. Alright. I normally like to make the lower areas a little darker, as if they were in some sort of a shadow, but the cat is making it a little hard to get down here. Yes, you, kitty. Well, there's certainly enough blue paint here. I suppose if you just tried to make everything in the entire scene blue, you might run out, but in terms of making all the things one would normally call water blue, it is doing quite nicely. Oh, kitty. We get to the other areas down there. Okay, he's threatening, if anything, to roll even further into this direction, which would be less than helpful. Can always go back and add more layers to this lower area later. Hopefully the kitty will get bored at some point and go relocate to one of the many other areas of the house, which are so comfy, full of cat toys and cat towers and everything else. But no, the kitty has to be right here at this moment. The more layers you put on with watercolor, the darker and richer the color gets in general. So I'm just trying to darken this area down here up a bit. Alright, well, we'll call that the best I can do for now. Alright. Now, in general, it's good to let one area dry before you try to paint next to it, because otherwise you'll end up having the colors all blur together. But I think that I worked on this upper area long ago enough that it is now dry, and that I can make the little star things yellow. I'd like to have the stars yellow, probably the moon too. All right. her tail is probably going to be green. I could do things like take a pen and draw in all her scales, but I think I'm going to keep it fairly simple for the beginning and show what it could look like just with the basic watercolors, although who knows, I may change my mind. Part of it depends on whether the cat moves or not, because trying to do all those scales with the cat where she is would be incredibly tricky. But if she moved, then I could get access to the area to be able to add scales in. You want to generally have your brightest colors and your deepest colors where you want the eye to be drawn, and then you want the rest of the things to be more muted. I'm putting the brightest greens over here. Let's see, I'll make her crown yellow. And that's a star. That's a star. Alright, the little seaweeds are probably green. Now I was just painting down here with the blue, so I want to be cautious that the colors could start to run. It's hard to get in here with the kitty. That is alright. Oh, kitty. Oh, so this is a good challenge. Can I even paint in this direction? The answer is not very precisely, but that's alright. Alright, I want her skin to be sort of brownish because she's out in the sun all day. So we'll say it's a combination of yellow and red. God bless you. Let's try that. That's a little redder than I had in mind. But also keep in mind that when things dry, they tend to dry lighter. So we'll see when that dries how that does. smidge of blue. She's an undersea creature after all. Alright, well, we'll see how that dries. Alright, I can't do her hair yet because that's right next to her skin, so that would just get everything all interwoven. Alright, so now that the cat's gone, I can get to some of these other seaweeds. Alright, let's make this a purple anchor. Oh, there's another anchor down here. The little dots of the chain. More little dots. I think I'll make some of these dots purple. So maybe means that these dots get to be purple. More dots down here. There's one right there. Alright, make her a little ruffle yellow. Make her top yellow. Do her with her crown. And her earrings. Necklace. Make some of these corals red. Alright. So now one question is, what color do we make her hair? We don't have a black color. I'd like to make it a dark color, like a dark brown or that sort of thing. So to make a brown, we normally take red, blue, and yellow. We already have purple here, which is red and blue. So if we take that and mix in some yellow, we should get a brownish color. That could be a little darker. The other challenge is that some of these areas are still wet. If we get too close to them, like these little yellow earrings, we're going to end up having everything blend. Alright, this is still more purple than dark brown, but we'll put this on as a starting coat. And I just don't want to get too close to that earring stuff, because the earring stuff is, well, all of this is still wet. I mean, her bodice is still wet. This little frill is still wet. I think the crown is relatively dry. Yeah, but those earrings are definitely still wet. Alright, what can I do? I can do little hearts up here. And her crown. Put a little bit of red in here, which will help to ease the purple a bit of the hair. Pull it more in a red direction. You can see it's a little too similar to her skin tone. That makes it all sort of mushed together. If we can get the hair to be a little darker, and it will stand out separately from the skin tone. Alright, let's try a little blue in the hair. So layers work in watercolors. You add layers of color heading towards the color that you're interested in, and as these layers build, and the color you're after starts to come through. Well, it's not that we want the hair to be blue or red or so on. We want it to be sort of a combination of those colors. By adding these layers on here, let's try a little more purple. So I want it to be darker. And a way that one gets darker in watercolors is to add more and more layers, because those layers of paint block the light from getting to the paper, which is white. And the darker we can make the hair, the more that other things stand out, and also the more that it catches the eye as a contrast between the lighter areas and the darker areas. You also have to sometimes pause and give a layer a chance to dry, so that the next thing that you paint stays on top of that. Alright, so I think we'll let that dry a bit. Put a little yellow on the seating, and then the lightness of the yellow should also help to offset the darkness of the hair and so on. Now I don't want to get too close to the hair because the hair is very wet. I want to do this other work while staying clear of that. Alright. This one here will be blue. Alright, let's see if we can get this lower blue area to be darker. More of a sense that this is down in the shadowy part. So that's darkening up nicely. I like having the lower area be dark compared with the upper area, which is lighter, to give that sense of heading down through the depths of the water. Maybe a little more more blue just up here. All right, let's see if we can darken out the hair a little more. And pull a little more away from purple. Still not quite getting as dark as I want it. But we're getting closer. I'll put some more blue in here. Working our way through the color layers. Yeah, I think that's at least getting a little more in the direction that I'm hoping for. I want a nice contrast between the crown and her face. And shadows in here. Let's try to get some of the escapey hair color out of her eyeballs. Right. And some more green on her tail, because that's a key feature of her that we want to stand out. Be careful not to get too close to her hair, because I don't want that hair to get drawn down into the tail area. So my aim is to get the brightest colors and the darkest hues all around her, and to have the rest be background decoration. Because if everything in the entire painting was all the exact same level of brightness or darkness, then nothing would specifically draw the eye. And in general, you want the eye to be drawn towards the mermaid. Alright, well, it's getting there. I think this tail is going to need another layer or two before it gets bright enough. And also her hair. Let's try putting on another layer of red. I think it's finally starting to get a little darker, so that it really stands out against the background. Oh, I have to be really careful about getting too near that wet green of the tail. Lest we have a giant red streak sent out through the entire tail area. The other thing worth noting here is that this is a fairly inexpensive, that's a watercolor kit, so the paper is not very absorbent. So I'm putting lots of layers of paint on this, and the paper is starting to buckle because it's just not really used to having this amount of water and color trying to stick onto it. So some of the things that you may try to do with this may not exactly work well because the paper is just on the thin side. And that's okay. Do the best that you can. Right, well, while the hair layer is drying, let's add a few more little drops. I don't want to get these background details too bright. You don't want the eye to be drawn to the dots instead of to the mermaid. It's good to have a little color there. Alright, let's try some more blue into the hair. I think we're getting the range of this is as dark as it's going to get given the paper that we have, and that the paper is on the thin side and just can't absorb that much water or color into it. And that is fine. It's all part of the process. But I think we're able to get our hair reasonably dark. Some different light and dark shades in there. Get some shadows into these little nooks. Especially in here. Under her head. Back over here. And then down over in here. Alright, let's just put a shade of shadow under here. And the shadow under the crown. The shadow under her top. And shadow under the ridge of the ruffle. Down in there. All right. And I suppose maybe I could do a little bit of work. Let's see if I can get my fingers off of this without moving it too much. Fingers get dented into the paper. I don't see any of my actual watercolor pens around here, but this should do. I'm not dry enough to try it. Normally I have an actual watercolor pen. But this just happens to be what's handy. Alright. Anything else that this needs? Well, I'm still thinking I want to try to make the hair darker, but I suppose one option is to use the pen. Well, I suppose I could try one more layer and see if this will go any darker with the watercolor. See, I'm not sure if this is actually going any darker, if the paper is absorbing any more of the paint at this point. Or if maybe it would be better just to go with the pen. That might be dark enough for our purposes. I think the hair might be dark enough to catch the eye, and then the scales are definitely darker. Question is, if I put green on it now, is it going to mute the scales a little, or is it going to blur them? Part of the process of watercolors is figuring out how your particular watercolor set interacts with the kind of paper you happen to be using at the moment. And I think that is good. Let me know if you have any questions or suggestions.